Hello, hello, sweet souls, and welcome back to another episode of It's All Happening. I have been looking forward to this conversation for multiple weeks now, as I had to postpone last week, because we do a lot on the It's All Happening podcast in the terms of like esoterics and spirituality and God and spiritual awakening. But I'm really excited for this conversation because it's going to touch into the deepest part of my human and like grounding back down the why behind all the spiritual work, which is truly just to get to choose into living a life that you're in love with, no matter what that looks like, and especially like against the status quo. So I know a lot of my listeners are people who are waking up inside of maybe jobs or relationships or circumstances that they once thought were going to be like the end all be all, and they're in that void space of not knowing what to do or where to go, or if they're crazy, or if it's okay to actually choose the thing that they feel like is going to make them mentally more happy, even if it makes them a little less money. And so without further ado, I'm inviting onto the podcast today. Oh my God, I didn't even actually pre-ask you how to pronounce your name. Let me see if I can try and do it right. Is it Sarah McCowan?
Nailed it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I did? Yeah. Great. Not that it's like a particularly difficult one, but I usually always ask everybody before I get started just to double check.
All good.
And she is somebody who I think we synchronistically met through a coach that we were both like taking a course with, but also one of those moments where you just find somebody's content and you're like, I fuck with what you're saying. And I find her absolutely hilarious. And she is bringing such a like human, nuanced humor voice to the reality of walking a path that is incongruent with the path that was just like laid out before so many of us. And we are kindred spirits because we both come from the background of nursing. So without further ado, Sarah, I'm just going to have you introduce yourself, whatever you're feeling called to.
Yeah, I'm Sarah. I am a life coach, formerly a registered nurse. I thought that I was going to be a nurse practitioner, nurse midwife, and that was going to be the very tidy, grown-up, 2.5 kids, nice house life that I was going to have. But didn't work out that way. So I like to say that I help tender-hearted weirdos off of the adult bullshit treadmill.
Wait, I love that so much. Say it again.
I help tender-hearted weirdos off of the adult bullshit treadmill.
I just want like everybody who's listening right now to just like take a pause and like maybe silently raise your hand if you're like, wait a second, that's me. That's exactly where I'm at right now.
It sounds fun and funny, but there's a lot of crying involved. So yeah, that's me. I live in rural northern Wisconsin. I'm pretty witchy. I love gardening. I make a lot of my own clothes. I'm like one of those sourdough bitches. Yeah, spend a lot of time in the woods. I'm friends with trees, but I'm also normal. Okay, guys.
Whatever that even means anymore. I don't know. I think the idea of normal and even the idea of adults, like I'm actually curious if you resonate on this. I feel like I became the like ripe age of fully being like, okay, like there's no more like, am I an adult yet? Like I'm 34 years old. We're like fully in adulthood.
Yeah.
And you wake up and realize like, oh, adults aren't real. Like nobody knows what they're doing.
Everybody's pretending and it's so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Saturn return hit hard.
Okay. How old are you right now?
I'm turning 30 in November.
Okay. And you quit your job this year, yeah?
Yeah, in April. So it's fresh.
Okay. Yeah. Saturn return did its thing.
She did it on me. Yeah.
So I want to jump a bit into kind of like your background story with that, with choosing into nursing, kind of what made you choose that path to begin with, and your story of how that evolved into eventually realizing that it actually was going to be a for you.
Yeah. Well, I I got a bachelor's degree in public health when I was, a teenager. Like you go from your mother's nest to college. Ridiculousness.
And they're like, right now, choose what you're going to do for the rest of
Yeah,
your existence.
straight up. So yeah, I didn't love public health because it was like so theory and policy based, and I wanted to like work with my hands. And I really romanticized the fuck out of that. And I fell in love with women's health. I became super politicized. Um, and I really wanted to become a midwife. I was living in Europe at that time, so I actually moved to Germany. I learned German fluently enough to apply to midwifery school there, and I was interning in a hospital in Berlin. Um, it's so crazy. Um, and I was in this like really stale 5-year relationship with my high school boyfriend. I was so sick of him. I was sick of speaking a language that I didn't feel myself in. So I moved to the States, went to nursing school, got into labor and delivery right out of nursing school. And it was like really fun and beautiful for like 5 or 6 months. Um, I had
The
this like,
honeymoon phase.
yeah, 100%. I felt like kind of like called a midwife, like I'd be on call and I get woken up at 2 a.m. to go deliver a baby.
Mine was Grey's Anatomy. Like I walked into my first hospital, I'm like, this is it.
Yeah,
Like
the
there's
ER
gonna be so much
was so big.
there's gonna be so much hot drum.
I know. I'm gonna be fucking in every supply closet. um, so yeah, honeymoon phase was incredible. And then trigger warning for listeners with a history of birth trauma. I experienced one of my patients had a really horrible fetal demise that was very poorly managed by the doctor. And from then, it was just like a slow descent of my sanity and my illusion of what it looked like to be a nurse. I stayed in nursing for like another 2 years after that, but that was the turning point. Um, and my like very innocent, kind of like service oriented heart just like slowly became more and more broken by the system, not by the patients, but by the healthcare system.
I resonate with that so deeply.
Yeah.
So deeply. That like you choose into the profession from this place of like, oh, I want to help people. I want
Yeah.
to help people. In your case, like bring babies into the world. In my case, it was like I want to help people heal.
Yeah.
And you have this heart for that. And then yeah, just speaking a bit into the disillusionment and the disenchantment of what happens after you're in the system and get through that honeymoon phase of like, I did it. I'm wearing the scrubs. I got the stethoscope. Like, look how fucking cute I am at this. And then like slowly, and I think it happens over to like when you say that like 5 or 6 month period, it's like it happens over time because it takes that much time for the reality of the like stress and the demand and the lack of processing and all of it on the job to actually like catch up to your nervous system. And like I'd love to hear from you, but personally for me it's like I started experiencing, I want to say for the first time in my life, for the first time in my life where it was like so bad that it was literally affecting like the totality of my everyday life, but a level of anxiety that I just like couldn't, it just went with me everywhere I went.
Oh my God. Yeah. Did you work nights?
I worked nights in a trauma level 1 ER.
Bruh. I was an ER tech for a minute in nursing school. That shit is hardcore.
Yeah, and there's this mentality in the ER too. It's like this like fucking cowboy mentality that like
Yes.
I'm such the only word that's coming through right now, and it's like, sorry guys, I don't know, I curse on here all the time, but like I felt like such a pussy
Oh,
that like some crazy shit would happen and people would be like all hyped up on adrenaline of like what we just had to go through, and I'm like, I gotta go and literally sob cry for at least the next 45 minutes, like I hope nobody else dies.
yes. I know. I was literally thinking about that last night. I have this distinct memory of like someone had come in, a patient had come in, they had been hit by a semi truck. Like they were not in a car, they were on the street. And the trauma was unimaginable. And I was in the break room afterward, just like shaking like a leaf. And the nurse, like the main nurse who was running the trauma, was just like shoveling lasagna into his mouth. And,
Also a trauma response.
and I just like, I was looking at him, I'm like, we are a different species. Like, because, he could like eat his lasagna, wash his hands, and then just like go straight out to like someone having a stroke or a kid who just drowned or whatever. And
Yeah,
it
there's a
was so
certain level
crazy.
of like, and I think the longer you're there, the more armor there has to be, right? Like there's this like crazy self-preservation mode that comes on. And I eventually caught up to kind of having that. I was an ER nurse for 4.5 years before I
Um,
left nursing for good.
you're so brave.
Um, and I didn't realize the level of like mental health crises I was putting myself in, because there is it's a survival mechanism of just
Mhm.
like you are seeing not just one horrible trauma, but like everybody's worst trauma every single day, and
Yeah.
just shoving it down and shoving it down. And there was, I don't know if it's changed at all by this point. I haven't been out of the game like that long, and I can't imagine it's gotten that much better, but there was no space. Like
Mm,
there was no, there's like, okay, yeah, there's a mental health facility that you can go see a counselor for 30
yeah.
minutes for free all the way across campus if you can get yourself out of bed on your off days.
Yeah.
But like aside from that, there was no talking about the way any of this made us feel.
I feel like it was akin to being like in the military or being a cop. Like
Hmm.
was that was the environment, the feeling of it. But then like we all are drawn to nursing because we want to help people, and I think a lot of us identify as healers. So there was just like this incongruence of like, for me, my armor started manifesting as like hating the patients, which
Mm.
I hate to admit, and it feels like the antithesis of like what it means to be a nurse and like a caring person. But I just started feeling like disdain and disgust, and that's when I knew that like my soul was dying. So I had to go. Yeah.
But you're so not alone in that I think like that's actually what mine was, a bit of the opposite. My disdain and disgust started to be for like the doctors and other staff members, and the like, I think it like goes one of two ways, because no matter what you're going to get jaded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my heart still stood so much with my patients, and maybe because of the reality of working in the ER where you're just watching patients get treated like
Mm-hmm.
dog shit. Like you're sitting in a hallway for 9 hours waiting for some kind of test results, and all I've done for your pain so far is give you a dry turkey sandwich. And like now I'm also trying to like walk down different hallways to avoid you because I'm just upset about how upset you are, but there's nothing I can fucking do about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got this like, oh my God, everybody who works in healthcare is an evil, jaded asshole.
You know what's interesting? And I've reflected on this a lot because I feel like, at least with nurses, I say this to my husband, it's like they're either, and I hate to use this word, but it does apply, like cunts. Like just, at least in labor and delivery, there was so much bullying
That's like
among nurses. It's a
a
stereotype.
stereotype. Like I live nowhere near you, and part of the reason I didn't go into
Mhm.
labor and delivery is because people were like, it's like a fucking sorority. Like you're gonna get your shit
Yes.
handed to you.
Yeah. So there was that. There was like these very tender, loving girls who somehow kept it together and were just like so solid. Most of them were Christian. And then there were like the mentally ill night shift nurses who were like on antipsychotics and drinking Red Bull. That was like the three camps. And I didn't
The three
really
like social circles of nursing.
and I didn't really fit into any of those camps. I've felt that way my whole life, but it came out heavy in nursing.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, I'm curious how you resonate with it. Like I always when I write about my like origin story, because my awakening happened in the halls of an ER where all of a sudden I started looking around. I'm like, oh my God, people are coming here to heal and like just getting sicker, and nobody's actually getting the help they need, and we're not actually getting to. I didn't have words for it then, but like we're not actually getting to the root of anything, and like just this stirring in my soul. Like I'm not actually helping people the way that I came here to help people, was like this internal knowing. Um, fuck, I forgot where I was going with that.
It's your origin story, but it didn't happen the way you wanted it to.
Oh, yeah. Waking up at like, I always talk about like, I feel like I woke up at the end of the instructions for life. Like, it was like, go to school, get good grades, get a degree, get a job, get a husband, get a house, happily ever after. And I like had everything I had been literally looking forward to creating for 27 years of my life.
Yeah,
And then my mental health
bro.
just took a nosedive, and my relationship was not like, I don't want to say the worst off it's like ever been, but like it was really rough because I was a monster. I was horrible to be
Oh,
around. I was working night shift. I was such a, like you used the word first, cunt, honestly, to everybody around me, because I was so fucking anxious and sleep deprived, and like living on like the vending machine snacks and caffeine that I ate from the night before.
mm-hmm.
And that's when I mean, I hit like a mental, I mean, it took quite a few years and moving through being an ER nurse during the pandemic for me to like have a full blown mental health crisis.
Yeah.
But I did, I was like, I did everything they told me to do. And I like did it really good too. Like I was a good girl. I got good grades. I did everything good. Why is this happening to me?
Well, and also like nurses are it's the most trusted profession in America. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Badge of honor.
the golden child of the working woman is to be it's like, and then it's pretty well compensated. I mean, it stopped feeling that way, but when you're broke and you're in your early 20s and yeah, nursing sounds great. You work 3 12-hour shifts a week. You make, 75 plus K a year. You got sick benefits. Like, it's more than golden handcuffs. It's like a socially approved, like, I'd have strangers thank me, you know?
Yeah. I still have. I will be like, I was a nurse 5 years ago. No, it's like been 3 now. I don't know. It feels like a different life at this point.
Yeah.
And
Well,
still to this day, when I tell people like I was an ER nurse through the pandemic, they're like, thank you for your service. I'm like,
don't do that.
don't do that. Don't like it. I actually think that might have been part of the straw that like broke the camel's back for me, is when they started like calling us healthcare heroes and sending us boxes of donuts and like standing outside with signs, as I was like, there's anywhere in the world I would rather be than inside this hospital.
Yeah.
Like I'm not coming here by choice.
Yes. I know.
Although
I remember, like,
you are.
yeah, I know, but it doesn't feel like that. I would go to like a Whole Foods co-op before my night shifts, and I would be so jealous of the person working at the cash register. I'd be like, I would do anything to have your life.
Mm-hmm,
You're just like
mm-hmm.
making chit chat and just like passing my squash soup across the counter,
You're actually living my childhood dreams. Like I loved playing grocery store checkout. Why didn't I follow that path?
It's so sad though, because like, I mean, it applies also, I think, about teachers and social workers. Like, we're the best of humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the system, profit driven healthcare and politically, like, it corrupts our goodness. Or it feels like it felt like that for me.
It like feeds off of it until it feels like there's no goodness actually left for
There's nothing left. Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it profits off of it, literally.
I remember I had a patient in labor and like something was going wrong and I started having a full-blown panic attack, which is like that's worse nightmare material because then your patient isn't safe anymore because you can't control yourself. And I
Mm-hmm.
went into my manager's office and I was panicking and my manager literally handed me a pamphlet for mental health and self-care. I was
Like you can't just be a human
a
with me
pamphlet,
for one.
dude?
moment. You want me to intake more information as my system's in literal overdrive right now. I actually that I wrote about this in I was like part of a multi-author book on like heart-led leadership and choosing a different path, and the chapter I wrote was literally on a story of when I started to realize like maybe nursing isn't for me, and I stayed in nursing also 2.5 years like past that mark. I would have to pep talk myself like every night to get out of the car after the whole drive to work, just being like, is my mom sick? Did my dad die? Like, is there anything that I can use to get out of this right now? Like praying for like minor fender benders. I don't want to get that hurt, but then I'll show up in the ER and then they really know I can't work. Like
Yeah.
my mind would play mental gymnastics on like how can I get out of doing this right now?
Oh,
And then I'd
it's
get there and it would take like a 20-minute pep talk to get myself to go inside and also make it look like I wasn't like crying the whole way to
yeah.
work, because you feel I felt like I'm epically failing. Like there's no reason this should be so emotionally jarring to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into work that night, and we had like in the center of our ER was critical care. And when you got there, you found out like your assignment, were you going to be in acute, critical, or peds? I was assigned to critical, which was also every night like my worst nightmare because it's
Oh,
like the worst of the worst trauma all night long. And I walked over to my assignment and went to take report, and my ears just started ringing and I got tunnel vision and I like felt like I was going to throw up, and I was just like, I'll be right back. And I literally went to the office, looked at them. I was like, I just got a phone call. My husband was in a car accident. I got to go. And I left.
yeah.
Straight up full blown like panic attack
Yeah.
moment of, it's my like I have to save myself here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started to be like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
Yeah.
how can I can't keep doing this. I can't keep showing to work and like showing up to work and hoping that something horrible is going to happen so that I leave. And like in that moment, I'm fully lying about that, but it was not even like a choice at that point. It was just like, I got to get out of here. And this is the first thing I'm going to think of, like the first thing I can think of to get me out of this situation.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember I said to my coach, because I started working with a coach towards probably for the last year of being a nurse. And one day she said to me, she's like, "You're a white woman in America. You can do whatever you want. Why are you acting like you have to keep doing this?" And I
Oof.
don't know if that was like, because I was always aware that like technically I could do something else, but I had invested so much story of like who I am, what I bring to the world, what my identity is. Like it was all hinging on that. And then
Yeah.
when I lost that, bruh, talk about like dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening. I used to carry tarot cards in my scrub pockets. I would like be in the OR assisting a C-section, and I would be, gowned up, and I would like feel in my pocket for the edge of the card and be like, is it with me? Like
Wait, so let's go there for a minute. My like awakening started while I was a nurse, but I didn't become like full blown, really fully, deeply like a spiritually aligned human until I was already on the outs. Like I like took maybe one more assignment post me like really sitting in like a devotional practice and really having this connection. So I'm curious for you how it felt like being a witchy woman in that very like
Mm,
logical, linear, systemic environment.
yeah. I I mean, I think there was more space for it in birth work. My first nursing job, or my first labor and delivery job, was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And a lot of my coworkers were like kind of witchy, like hippie. We all had like very patient centered approaches to birth. There was like a lot of natural birth, it was a midwife led practice. So it felt possible to integrate my like, I mean, I wasn't like talking to my patients about, goddesses or anything like that, but
You weren't doing tarot readings on their bed with them.
9 centimeter tarot spread. um, but I felt like I was like witnessing and participating in something miraculous, like when I was doing that work. And really, like, um, being sucked into like the spiral of labor, like the contractions and like the women, I would see them like kind of psychically leave, and like they would enter like a trance like state, and I was just there as like a conduit to support them, and that was fucking sick. I loved that. I switched hospitals, and at that the new hospital, the C-section rate was twice what I was used to. So that was a much more like medicalized, linear, um, like everyone had epidurals. There was a lot of chronic illness. So it was just like very managed. And that's where I saw like it felt like the care that I wanted to give kind of broke down because it was more about mitigating risk than like supporting. And I saw it in my patients. Like, I'd send a woman home knowing she was going to have PTSD from her birth. And that's like when my spirituality really I needed it to lock in, and I needed to dig deeper, because it was like I saw my patients and what they were going through, and I was bringing that home with me, losing faith in like the thing that I thought was beautiful. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to hear the perspective of like different environments and different kind of like ways of being in that birth process, because you don't hear very, how you said like your first job, it actually was kind of aligned to your values and how you saw like the magic that is birth and the mystery that is birth, and allowing that process to just be what it is and giving the spaciousness for it, versus I feel like so much of what you hear about in the Western world as it comes to birthing in a hospital is the second experience that you had of really like medicalizing it and like taking away from that magic and the mystery, and that being so connected to the reality that like we're not taught at all
No.
growing up anything about the like spiritual connection to birth or the spiritual process that is giving birth. So I feel like it makes it so easy for the medical system to take advantage of that wealth of knowledge that we just like as women in the Western world were never passed down. And so we're actually like robbed of this experience that should be what you spoke to in your first job.
Yeah. And I don't want this conversation to become like so niche and unrelatable. Like, I think it applies to healing across the lifespan, like death as well is an incredibly sacred thing, or it should be.
Hmm.
Same with healing from like an accident or an illness. But what I learned with showing up and giving like really holistic psychosocial spiritual care for my patients, like that type of caregiving is so exhausting compared to showing up, putting in an IV, charting, like, just following the hospital procedure, getting the baby out or whatever, like stabilizing the trauma patient. And the patients feel the difference, but it's like you're only one person.
Yeah.
And if you're working 12-hour shifts and you're sleeping, 4 or 5 hours between shifts, you're nocturnal, like crying in your car before work, like that light goes out quickly.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
me.
And
So
you have none of the psychosocial emotional support that you're also attempting to give your patients in the time frame that you can't, like you don't have the time to do it inside of the way that the system is set up. I used to consistently, because I went straight into ER nursing, I did an ER residency program that was a year long, so I was in a training for a year. I wasn't a nurse on my own for the first year, like until the first year of my residency was over. And something that like I consistently got written on my reports is like spends too much time with patients, like
yes.
spends too much time in the room, because it was just so innate and natural to like talk to them about their feelings and like how
Mhm.
what was actually going on for them in this process, versus just the like checking of the boxes and being like, I would call it like a task monkey. Like
Oh,
at a
yeah.
certain point, I was like, oh, got it. I'm just supposed to be a task monkey. Like I'm not supposed to be here as like an emotional support system, but I can't help but do that. Like it's innately a part of who I am.
Mhm. And also not providing that care, like not connecting human to human. I feel like it's what keeps people trapped in cycles of chronic illness and dysfunction, you know? Like, I mean, you know, with the ER, like the frequent flyers that would just, it was like a revolving door.
Literally, like words right out of my mouth. And that was finally for me that the realization that there's got to be some, I don't know what it is, but there's something missing here. And
Yeah.
this isn't what I came here to do. And I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I gotta go. I
Yeah.
gotta go. I can't do this anymore. I'm curious for you what that process sort of looked like. I know you said it took you about 2.5 years from the time you started realizing that it was probably going to be a no for you until like actually pulling the trigger on that, and just kind of speaking to that process and the like, yeah, the mental and emotional process of actually getting to the point to make that choice.
Yeah. I looking back, I call it like an industry slide. Um, I I quit my labor and delivery job. I actually broke a 2-year contract. I had taken a 10K sign on bonus and I had to pay that shit back, which was so painful. But that
Ow.
was the first time where I feel like I woke up because I was like, a responsible adult would not quit this job. They would stick it out and just round out the 2 years. But I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to lose 10 grand to get the fuck out of this job. Um, so that was like the first stand I took for myself. And I swear to God, with that decision, like my sex life with my husband got so much better. I had an appetite again. Like I started eating again. I stopped drinking so much alcohol because that was another problem. I started drinking so much to just
Oh, we can go there.
I got this like really cushy work from home job doing case management, which was fine. Um, it was like boring but really easy. I started coaching at that time, and then I got laid off from that job. Got another job that I thought would be chill, but it was fucking awful. It was so hard. That's the job I just quit in April. I was like going back into crying every day and like yelling at my dog and husband.
The
Uh,
spiral, the cycle.
yes.
Like we got to do it. Of like, let me get on one more time, and like maybe it's gonna be different. It's gonna be
Yes.
different this time.
That's the thing, because I was like, I grieved the loss of my identity as a birth worker, you know, like that felt like, okay, fine, but I'm still going to be a nurse because, like, I want that. I want those paychecks. I want the social validation that I matter in my career. Like, I mean, I'm 29. I still care so much what my parents think, what my old fucking high school peers I don't even talk to. Like, okay, Sarah, doesn't have a real job anymore.
I feel you on that. I'm like, I've just recently like started comparing myself to the horse girl in elementary school. And like, I've become the god girl,
I'm
and like all of
obsessed. Dude, I saw your
all of
email
my
about that.
all of my friends from high school, like a lot of them still follow me, and I'm so curious. Like I've
Yeah.
done a lot of work around letting go of the fear of judgment, but I'm just curious to like get inside your brain. Like you're either like, oh, cool, good for her, or like, what the fuck happened to her? Like I heard she went down to the jungle and like did some ayahuasca. I don't think she's ever been the same.
But dude, I mean, let's be real. Horse girls were the happiest girls.
That's what I'm realizing, and I was like, I think
But
I
they
was
were
like,
so happy.
yeah, they were so passionate
Mhm.
about the thing that they loved most in the world, and they were not ashamed of it.
Period.
Period. Excuse me while I briefly interrupt my own episode here to offer you a really special invitation into something that I am so excited about. This fall, myself and my co-host, Jen Maroney, are going to be taking an intimate group of 8 women to Tuscany for a 7-day, all-inclusive energy healing, embodiment, and adventure retreat. I mean, we are bringing together the most perfect combination of healing, of connection, of play, of creation, and of adventure all over the rolling hills of Tuscany. So if you are a woman who is finding yourself, loving this podcast, being pulled deeper into this work, moving through an awakening within yourself, I want to cordially, personally invite you to drop down into the show notes, click the link, check out our landing page, and book yourself a call to this retreat. And just because you are a listener of the It's All Happening podcast, I would absolutely love to offer you $300 off of this experience. Our applications are going to be open until the end of June. We are at the end of May right now, so you have just about 4 more weeks to get inside of this experience. If you are feeling yourself pulled forward towards what it is that I am talking about right now, if you have been looking for in-person spaces to deeply connect with other open-hearted and open-minded women around this work, this is the space for you. This is the invitation. Drop down into the show notes, click the link, book a call, and let's get you inside. And I'll see you in Tuscany.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like my body stopped giving me a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a pretty, like, not low energy, but like I'm a pretty chill person. Like I don't emote huge I don't have big emotions. I'm not like super dramatic, but I literally like I was a home visiting nurse for my last job. I would literally scream and sob on my way to my patients' homes. I'm like, I am not a scream girl. Like, what the fuck? Like libido died. You know, like I'm in my fucking 20s. I should be able
Mm-hmm.
to like be hungry and want to have sex.
Yep, I should be able to be hungry. Like those functions should be operating.
And so it's like I'm really sad for myself that it had to get to that level of mental illness and dysfunction for me to reckon with my self-worth essentially and be
Mm-hmm.
like, do I deserve to feel safe? That's what it came down to. And it wasn't actually a question, it was like a fucking ultimatum where there was only
Mm-hmm.
one option, actually. So
Yeah,
I wish that it was a story of like me not hitting rock bottom and choosing
it
for
never is.
myself, but it is what it is. And I'm still fucking in it too. So
Yeah, yeah. That spiral continues for a while. Of like, I've seen you post before of like I got like getting out the game and still being like every once in a while on Indeed
oh,
checking for jobs. Like the amount of times my husband had to be like, okay, yeah, like do whatever you need to do, but we're not fucking,
yes.
I don't care what you want. I'm not doing that again. The amount of times I've turned to him, I'm like, I'm just going to get another. And he's like, no, the fuck you're not.
Yes, I know. Indeed hates to see a bitch like me coming, dude.
What you got to do, it's like this slow dissolving
Hmm.
of your attachment to the safety net. Like I still to this day, I am actually 3.5 years out of my last travel nurse contract, which was like the thing I tried to do to reconcile
I'm
with the
sure.
fact that I hated
I'm
nursing.
sure
I'm
that
like, I'll just
sounded
take
like
3 months off every 3 months
yeah.
and then cry myself to sleep for 3 months and then take 3 months off. And we did that for like the last 2.5 years of
Wow.
my nursing career. But there is this like slow dissolution of the attachment to the safety net that it was, right? Because you said it like became this ultimatum of, do I deserve to feel safe? But also the reality that a part of your safety mechanism is attached to that thing that's making you feel so unsafe. Like you're living in this state of dysregulation and unsafety inside your body. And this doesn't just go for nurses, like just for anybody listening, like
Oh.
anything that you are doing in your life that
Mhm.
is causing you a great deal of mental anguish and emotional pain. It's putting you in a state of unsafety, but simultaneously we've been taught that our safety lives inside of that paycheck or inside of that 2.5 kids and
Mhm.
mortgage and the
So,
cars and all of what we've been taught we're supposed to have so that we can look and feel successful.
yeah. Yeah, I think a really unexpected layer to this, which is currently fucking me up, is so now I work at a used bookstore. It's my favorite bookstore in the world. It was like the job where, like, did you, when you were an ER nurse, did you ever like have this like remote distant fantasy of like, I could work at a pet store or whatever, like something cute that could never feasibly actually happen? Like,
Mine were always actually in the direction of what I'm doing now. Like the only thing I dreamt of doing and leaving nursing was being like a world traveling author in coffee shops. Like,
yeah, yep. So I I had one day in like March where I had been crying all morning, and I walked from my house to my favorite bookstore in the world, asked them for a job. They hired me on the spot. They were like, "What the fuck? You're a nurse. Like, you wanna you wanna just switch that up?" Um, so that's what I do now. I work 30 hours a week at a bookstore, and I see my coaching clients. And the most unexpected fucking sabotage that I'm experiencing right now is that, bear with me, safety doesn't feel safe. Like, I have been like spiraling to my husband because I'm like, I feel like I should be suffering right now. I feel like I should be grinding, hustling. Like, so I'll like show up at the bookstore and like I put on my playlist and flip on the lights, and I feel like I'm freaking out because I'm like, it's like I want, not that I want something to go wrong, but like I have intrusive thoughts of like, when is the rug going to get pulled out from under me? And like,
mhm.
it's not a feeling of I don't deserve this, but more like this is so unfamiliar that I'm like a little scared. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
100%, 100%. And
Yeah.
it just goes to show this like speaks a lot to the work that I do with my clients. Like the external reality is never actually going to be the thing that creates the sense of like satisfaction and fulfillment and safety, right? You can take yourself out of what is like an unsafe environment for your nervous system, i.e. the nursing career, and put yourself in a very stable, steady environment, and it's going to do a good brunt of the work. We'll say like somewhere between like 50 to 65% of the work, but so much, there's a good percentage of like what lives inside your body of like, oh, it doesn't actually matter the environment. Like this still, it doesn't feel okay for me to be okay, which
Yeah.
is like such a mental mind fuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know. I it's like classic like helper having to take their own medicine, because I teach my clients this, like we create an upper ceiling of what we think we deserve, and then if we like bump up against that ceiling and like we're about to break through to have like a, you know, a really safe job or like a safe relationship, then we fucking sabotage ourselves back down into the shit because it's
Oh
familiar.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, I literally just a few days ago was like wanting to apply to a clinic job. My husband was like, "The fuck are you doing?" So
Right.
it's
Like what would be the reasons why?
right.
I have a similar experience inside of, this is going to kind of take us off on a tangent a little bit, but like
Yeah.
that's been really true for me inside of my relationship with my husband. That he's
Mm,
like such a safe, loving,
yeah.
chose me from the second he saw me, like has never once played a game, only has green flags, almost to the point where like when we first started dating, I'm like, this is nauseating and boring because you're too nice to me, and like
Toxic.
fight me.
Yeah.
Like give me some toxicity. I'm feeling like a little too stable here, right? And
Yes.
it took me years of I mean I had a slew of like pretty physically, mentally, and emotionally, like depending on the relationship, toxic relationships. And my body learned a sense of safety and also attraction
Oh,
to that,
dude.
which I also found, this was crazy after so when I sat in ayahuasca, we're bringing it back to the nursing piece. When I sat in ayahuasca, I touched into my birth trauma. I was a NICU baby. I was born 4 weeks post date. Both of my lungs collapsed because of meconium aspiratum,
Whoa.
and I was immediately intubated, IV,
Yeah.
catheter, the whole thing, and I was in an incubator with no touch from my mom for the first 72 hours of my birth. And I relived that experience somatically when I sat with ayahuasca, and it
Ooh.
was horrifying. But one of the like loops that I came to was recognizing that part of my like PTSD response that I couldn't consciously understand because it was so subconscious from being an infant
Mm.
was when I would go into the hospital and hear the beeping of the machines and the ringing of the bells and all of the things, it was triggering that time in my life. And also this reconciliation that I was attracted to that place because of that like chaos and
Ooh,
discomfort and lack of safety in my body.
super chill, super laid back.
Totally normal, regular, run of the mill existence.
Fuck. That is, it's so relatable. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember when I met my husband, I like, I always feel guilty saying this, but like my marriage is the easiest part of my life. And I feel
Same.
like a little shit because like so many people struggle, they struggle to find their people. But I remember same thing, like I anticipated toxicity and shittiness from him when I met him. And I remember the first time that he was genuinely so kind to me, I had to leave and I had a panic attack in the bathroom because and then I wanted to break up with him.
And
Yeah.
it's so real. It's so real. Like the and I actually did. Me and my husband dated for 6 months and I broke up with him because I was still addicted to toxicity. And when my parents asked me like why did you break up with him? I'm like, he looks at me too much. It freaks me out.
Your parents
And
were
I think there is something to like it's been a whole process of we accept whether it be in relationship, love, or in career, like safety and satisfaction and a regulated nervous system. But
yeah.
we initially accept what we believe or have been conditioned to believe we deserve. Like there's something that's so true about that, and not from like a mental place, but from what our body reacts to. Like if your body is in such resistance to that level of love and kindness, it is going to create this like,
Yeah.
ooh, I can't I can't accept that.
Yeah.
And it takes time to allow the actual energetics of that thing to seep into the cells of your body to like
Mm-hmm.
rewire and restructure. This is not only safe, but it's actually really what you want. And what you want is safe. And then what you actually deserve what you want. And then under that, you don't have to feel guilty for being one of the humans on this planet that gets to experience like an actual safe and desired existence. Like there's so many layers to it.
Yeah. Oh, what the part of what you just said that stood out to me is what you want is safe. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I don't it, with my clients the perception is and with myself the perception is like what I want can't be trusted because it's
Mm-hmm.
irresponsible, it's irrational, it's immature, um, and it couldn't possibly be allowed or it couldn't possibly be easy. Not
Yeah.
that any of this is easy. Like choosing your version of hard is still fucking hard, but it's like, yeah.
It's a different hard though. It's a hard that results in, and I say this all the time, like eventual over time,
Hmm.
greater ease. Like I've seen you talk
Yeah.
about so much in your content, just like how you would choose what it is that you're doing over and over and over again, no matter how many times you have to hit that wall of like, actually, I'm freaking the fuck out and I have to internally navigate feeling like uncertain or unsafe and like remind myself that I am safe and that my choices are solid and that actually for me the longest like for so long when I first left nursing, I would walk around being like, my bills are paid, there's a roof over my head, there's food in my
Yes.
mouth. My bills are paid, there's a roof over my head, there's food in my mouth. My bills are paid, there's a roof over my head. Like just to rewire the reality of like how much money I thought I needed to be safe.
Yeah.
And like, let's go there for a minute. Like taking that pay cut is also a massive identity
Holy shit.
disruptor in a system that like holds the paycheck and the yearly raise as the holy grail to
Yeah.
existence.
Yeah. What comes to mind that I've been reflecting on a lot is like with nursing, I always perceived the threat, like the main threat of my life or in my life was my job. It was like my toxic coworkers, toxic management, exposure to secondary trauma at the hospital. and I received that paycheck in compensation for the suffering, it felt like.
Mm.
Now, and probably with any situation where you leave something that externally was like killing your soul, when you choose yourself, it's like we have to be so careful to not displace the threat from an external thing to like creating the threat inside of us. That's what I've been navigating, because it's like my bills are paid, I have a roof over my head, I have food in my belly, and now it's like the task is, how can I not create thoughts that ruin my life anyway, even though I'm actually fucking safe?
And like happy for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's where the real fucking spiritual work is like, am I worthy of this? Do I believe in myself? And that is almost harder because it's so fucking easy to go on Indeed and get a
Oh
job.
yeah.
And it's fine. Like it's fine to go back. Like there's nothing wrong with choosing that form of stability again. And I reserve that right for myself to do that. I don't really see it happening, but I think in a lot of ways it's like almost sometimes harder because it's like it kind of feels like you versus the world. You know?
It becomes, like you said, instead of you versus this external enemy that you're choosing into that you actually feel like you don't have a choice around.
Like you
it's
versus you.
it's just you versus you all day long. And when you become, I say this to my clients all the time, I'm like, awareness is like 70% of the game, but
Mm,
it also makes life excruciating
yeah.
until you can actually break through the pattern that you need that awareness in order to move through, because then you just become so aware of your shit and you're like, oh, but I'm still spiraling, I'm still creating these made up scenarios, and I'm still
Yes.
fully experiencing them inside of my body as a reality. Like it's not actually happening externally, but all of this internal experience is still happening. And it is like a byproduct of choosing the thing that you actually want to do and that's actually going to satisfy you, but it's a byproduct that also over time leads to a deep, that you like, this like boss that you have to like face off with in order to ever get to the place where you're feeling a greater sense of ease inside of your system through the choices that you've chosen that are actually going to satisfy you.
Yeah.
And that's a whole fucking journey.
It is. And it's like you can choose to battle with that external threat, and like that suffering is going to continue, and like yes, you'll have a paycheck. Yes, you'll have stability on paper. But I feel like that battle is like there's not a lot of reward in it, but the battle that you have with yourself when it's like you versus you, as you work through that, the fruits of that labor are so much more fucking rewarding.
Exponential.
Yeah,
Exponential.
because it's like peace.
Yeah.
And
Actual peace, not fabricated peace that comes from something external.
yeah.
So cool. So I want to ask you, what I know that a piece of what you do now, outside of working in the bookstore, is life coaching.
Hmm.
What role did like being coached, reaching out for coaching, play in your uh and you like getting to the point that you're at now? Like how did that play into your story that led you to becoming, wanting to become a life coach?
Hmm. I originally sought out life coaching with like I think like most coaches and healers in the online space, I was under the impression that it was this like super slick exit strategy that would be
Super
like,
easy.
yeah, super easy, super chill.
Gonna
And
make millions real quick.
yeah, let me just manifest the fuck out of that. My plan was actually to become a postpartum coach to support new moms. Um, and I got so fucking burnt out on maternity care that I had to just walk away from that entire passion for a while. And then it turned into something much deeper of like, I was learning the skills and the approaches and being like, holy shit, like I have to walk this walk. Like I am so incongruent with myself and I am really fucking miserable. Am I really gonna help people from that place? Like it, and it's not a thing of like you have to be healed before you can start helping people at all, but it was like I had to really reckon with, and I still do have to really reckon with the way that I talk to myself, the way that I build a life for myself. um, and once you gain that awareness, and also just the awareness that like most people are not okay, I feel like that's part of like becoming a true adult. Like initiating from an adolescent to an adult is like, holy shit, most people are like suffering pretty bad. And so it's like, I'm in the shit. I'm going to be honest about it. I feel like a lot of people just aren't honest about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just start talking about it. And whoever surfaces, I would love to collaborate with, because I think being honest is maybe actually like the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so now I attract people from all walks of life. I have worked with like farmers and therapists, and like I had a client who owned a daycare. But what they all have in common is that they are just allergic to like the ridiculousness of adult life in capitalist society.
I
And
love
they
that.
want something more. And they're like dorky and nerdy and deep, and they
What a
don't,
niche.
huh?
I said, what a niche, just allergic to the bullshit of being an adult in
Yeah.
late stage capitalism.
Though honestly, now that I'm like gaining some distance from nursing, I really do want to help other nurses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's kind of what I'm looking at right now is like, I needed someone to validate me so badly. And like, I couldn't find that, when I was working in hospitals. It felt
Yeah.
like I was the crazy one and everyone else was just like coasting by. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. I'm excited to see where that continues to unfold for you, because something that I've learned in my now almost, I lose count, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years of entrepreneurship is like it continues to evolve as you do. And you said something around like needing to walk your talk and like do this work if you're going to be offering this work to others, while simultaneously knowing that you don't have to be fully healed before you can help others. But the like deeper you go on your own path, and I feel like everybody's path is so different, the arc of like your hero's journey, right, of like what it is that you were meant to go through and process and integrate, so then you could have the spaciousness inside your system to hold that as other people are opening up like their can of worms. And you'll also come to find, I mean, maybe you already see this, that you end up naturally attracting people who are going through like same but different scenarios than you did, right?
Yeah.
It's like a different circumstance, a different picture, a different life, but a lot of the emotions and the feelings and the fears and that sort of thing is the same. And just finding so much truth in what you said about like being honest is the biggest part of the battle. And you've like just nailed that. I mean, guys, I literally brought Sarah on here because I knew we were going to get to have like such a beautiful conversation around nursing and and exiting for the sake of mental health and wholeness and clarity and like love for yourself and your life. But also her content, like, please just go follow her. It's so down to earth, it's so real, it's so funny, it's so relatable. And you can just feel that like through the words that you are speaking, that you are walking your talk while simultaneously not trying to paint a picture of like, oh, you're going to end up over here on some mountaintop where everything's bright and shiny because you quit your job and work at a bookstore and are a life coach, right? Like, and
Mm,
I think for me, at least, that was so much of the picture that was painted for me early on in my entrepreneurial journey. The
mm,
like, you're going to be a badass business babe with all the freedom in the fucking world. And I was like, fuck yeah, like that's what I want and give it to me now. And
Yeah.
why isn't it happening now? And like peaks and valleys of transformation that go on within that. But I just I fucking trust anybody who's willing to be like, you know what? There's something more calling me and I don't know what it is and I'm a little fucking scared, but I'm gonna follow it because I only get this life to live in this body in this moment. So like why not? And really what is there to lose? Which is so easy to say on like the other side of the internal battle of like
Yeah.
I remember being back there and like actually I have so much to lose. I could become homeless and like
Yeah.
not be able to sustain myself. But the fruits of what comes out of it, both for yourself and then the people that you get to like
Mm,
have these deep connected conversations with, that all it takes is like your bit of a little bit further along perspective to shift something inside of them that
mm,
gives them that extra bit of strength to keep going after the thing they already knew they wanted to go
yeah.
after. Like anyway, it's
Yeah.
really beautiful.
I sometimes I feel kind of insecure about the things I share because it's dark, and
Mhm.
the honesty I fear like comes off as quite negative. And in like in the coaching spiritual world, there's a lot of like love and light, positivity, energy, but I've come to realize like and I'm sure this applies to you too, like having seen people's lives taken from them in the middle of the day on a fucking Wednesday, like I feel like it's given me this gift and this curse of being like, y'all can die literally anytime. Like, let's cut the bullshit. This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um, but it's heavy and it's not for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and even that though, I feel like the undercurrent of your humor is just gonna last forever. And I think it's something I appreciate because it's something I put in my content too that I'm like, I don't know if this is the best business strategy, but like I'm
Mhm.
calling God homie G. And like I'm referring to Jesus as J Dog. And like and because that's just my personality, right?
So
And I think
good.
it's so important to keep that in there. But also the reality that like as a I was so in resistance to like calling myself a content creator for so long, but in the reality of the nature of the work that we're doing, it's like it's just a part of the process. It's inevitably a piece of what you become. And I find right now, at least, I think there's a need and a thirst for the authentic kind of content that you're putting out into the world over the like, here's 5 ways to like be happier every day of your life, or like 10 business strategies to be a boss babe manifesting millions of dollars in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell I'm a little triggered?
Yeah. I will say for your listeners and also just for us, like something that I've realized is because, yes, the idea of content creation is cringe. Like, that's a thing in our culture. What I realized is like what content creation is it's the building of relationships and community. And there are, at least in my world, like many more women doing it than men. If it was a male dominated industry, it would be taken more seriously.
Mm.
And I think it's like because what we're doing here is we're relationship building and we're sharing from the heart, and it's like just a very relational, it's like web weaving.
Hmm.
That is historically kind of like women's work.
Yeah.
And if there were more male homies doing it, maybe we would be less embarrassed about it. But
Yeah. You know, what's interesting as you bring that point up, I also have found that the men I have connected with in the content creation space, I feel like they don't have a fucking cringe. They're just like full send, I'm going to be awesome at this and I'm going to put my everything into it and I'm going to do it every day and I'm just going to show the fuck up. Meanwhile, as women, we're like, I don't know, like, what
yeah,
is
I know.
so
I
and so
always
going to think about this one word that I put in this post that I wrote 5 weeks ago that I still can't get out.
I know. I tell my clients, I'm like, the goal is to show up with the amount of gusto and gumption as a 50-year-old white man named Steve. Let's
Yeah.
let's embody Steve. for a minute.
Yeah, Steve wouldn't give a fuck.
Steve thinks that he's the shit.
Yeah, and Steve doesn't think he knows that you need to hear what he has to say. That it is
No.
more important than anything else that anybody has to say.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna use that one. So
Embodied
funny.
Steve. The
It's so
archetype of
funny.
Steve.
That's the other part I love so much about this work though, is that like the endless creativity that we get to show up with, whether it be in content creation, sharing our hearts with the world, or then getting on a coaching call with a client and all of a sudden receiving some like hysterical metaphor that's gonna fucking land, right? Where like then for one of your clients, anytime they're getting stuck in a jam of overthinking it, they're just like fucking embody Steve, right? And the ripple effect that that creates just because you were willing to show up and allow creativity to move through your body in an like open, authentic, and honest way. It really is. I also love that metaphor you just used about like web weaving, because that's exactly what it is. It's like we're weaving potentials and realities and communities and perspectives that people really actually do need in this weird time that we are living in.
Yeah. Talk about a spiritual initiation, dude. That's another conversation. But entrepreneurship and showing up loud
we
and
could
experimental is
we could
crazy.
go on for another hour and a half just about that. Maybe we'll have to do a part two, because I don't feel like it's been some time since I've given the space. I used to talk about it a lot more in the beginning of the podcast. We're coming up on like 3 years of the podcast being out. And recently, a lot of what we've been talking about is the arc of like God and just like, what does God mean? And like really exploring that with so many guests. But I'm really loving this, like, coming back to also the grounded nature of the reality of entrepreneurship, because so many of my listeners are healers, or they're stepping into healing, or they're finding a deeper calling or meaning for their life, and wanting to step into entrepreneurship. And I wish that I had conversations like this at my disposal, and not just the like, here's how I became, I'm going to say it again, like a multi-million-dollar boss babe manifesting million.
Dude, when you
Because
started
that's
out,
what.
sorry to interrupt. When you started out, did you get tons of ads where it was like a white woman laying in a bathtub of money? And it was like, take my 6-month program, make 7 figures in 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, and it fucking got me. I
Oh,
was like, bet.
yeah. I will be that girl in that bathtub.
With the money gun. And I think I mean, we could go on and on and on, but for me, I'm talking about this a lot now with, I, it's not really a pivot, more like an evolution in my business, where I feel like the women I'm connecting to are women who have like deeply awoken to psychic gifts and are
Mhm.
needing the help and support of like how to actually manage that and manage energetic hygiene and manage stepping into confidence so that they can serve through those spaces from like a really grounded human standpoint. But a like hook or connection point I've been making with so many of them is like, it's okay that like your ego needed to think you were going to manifest $1 million in a couple months to get you onto the spiritual path. And like, I'm sorry, shit went sideways. And that's not actually at all what we're doing here. But like, bless your heart for thinking that, and the evolution you've had to go through to let go of the identity that was like being created in that being the reality that was going to make you so like safe and satisfied. Because I was her. It like
Oh,
came and went pretty quickly, but
same.
the first couple months of me stepping onto my entrepreneurial path, it was like, fuck yeah. I'm about to be a millionaire.
Oh, but I think, it's almost in a way, it's like a good weed out because it's like if if you really fucking want this, you're gonna go through so many ego deaths.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna have to look yourself in the mirror and just keep choosing. You just gotta keep choosing.
Yeah.
And there are very few like there's a lot more perceived failure than there is success. I've been reframing it as like learning opportunity or redirection, but it's like You're just fucking scrambling your way through the dark, I say, with a spoon and a headlamp with no batteries in it.
With the amount of faith that says maybe along this path somewhere I'll find a battery.
Yeah. A battery and a fork.
Oh my God. I was just thinking about that the other day. This like thought came through um, around like the success that I currently have has had absolutely nothing to do with strategy and everything to do with staying power. Like I'm just going to keep
Yes.
going. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to
Yes.
keep going and I'm going to have moments. I don't have them anymore. And hopefully that's like a sprinkle of like inspiration for you. I don't go on Indeed anymore and look at jobs. And when people ask me if I'm ever going back to nursing, I'm like, fuck no. And in the back of my head, I'm like, but I keep my license current.
Back up.
But fuck, what was I just saying?
Um, that you don't have those moments anymore.
Oh, yes, the staying power of
Staying
like
power. Yeah.
how often can you allow yourself to meet that moment where you're looking on Indeed and simultaneously you're like, what are the reasons I'm actually doing this? And sorting through like, okay, none of those reasons are actually good enough to do it. What is the truth about my reality right now? I'm safe. There's a roof over my head. There's food in my mouth. Like
Yes.
externally, I am in a space of safety. Okay, now how can I regulate into this reality that I am safe? And how much and how often can you show up for that? And whatever flavor of that is for you, because for me, I mean, I know a lot of the listeners know that like the deeper you go, the deeper you go, and the more you're unpacking like
Oh, yeah.
levels and layers and levels and layers of baggage that you actually didn't even know was there. And
Mhm.
it's not a small choice to be like, I'm gonna keep digging with this spoon in the dark, even though I can't see. Or like I can't see what it is that I'm digging for, and I don't know what it is that I'm digging
Yep.
for, but I know that there's something down there for me.
Yep.
And I think that's where you see people like jumping off at certain points,
Yeah.
right? But if you're like really in it for the faith in the reality that you do get to live a safe and sovereign and successful existence, that doesn't mean success in necessarily how much money you make or the cars you drive or how big your home is, but actually like rewriting and rewiring away from the capitalistic paradigm what
Yeah.
success actually gets to look like, and then like how that creates a ripple effect moving forward for humanity as well. I think about a lot.
Yep. We're in a very unscripted time.
Yeah.
I it feels easy to like create a lot of fear, and um I like try to describe it to my clients as like when you get so worried and scared, it's like your brain becomes agitated. It's like a shaken up snow globe. And if you just put the snow globe on the shelf and walk away and like go sit by a tree or drink a fucking glass of water, usually that shit settles on its own, and you just have to trust that you're safe.
Yeah.
Just keep
Yeah.
going.
Reorienting to safety
Yeah.
again
Crazy
and
how
again
unintuitive it is.
and again. I know.
Yeah.
Well, because and how much we've been it does come from how much we've been conditioned to seek that
Yeah.
safety externally in all of these things. And there's one thing of like understanding the concept of that, and then again like getting deep into the cellular like energetic rewiring of that inside of your system. It's not a small job.
I have beef with like all of the intuition coaches and like how we romanticize intuition, because it's like a lot of the time your trauma is so intense you can trust your body, but you can't trust that what it's telling you is true for like your highest good.
Right.
Um, it's not a cute process.
Right. Like there's a process of coming into a trusting relationship with your body that has nothing to do with actually taking what your body is telling you as fact and running with it. It's like, okay, yes, I hear you and I trust what you're saying, body, that is an experience that you're having, and we're not going to make our biggest life choices
No,
off of that just yet.
no.
Just yet.
Put a pin in it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this. This was like such a soul nourishing conversation for me. Um, two things. One thing, what's going on in your world? What kind of work are you doing? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. It's at Sarah McCowan _. I'm mostly focusing on just one-to-one work with people right now. Um, and yeah, just forging forward with that spoon and that batteryless headlamp. Come along for the journey. There's no guarantees, and we don't know where we're going.
I love it. The honesty, honestly, so fucking here for it. And the final question I ask everybody who comes on the show is if you could give the listeners who are on the path, but maybe a little stuck in the depths and the darkness, maybe they don't even have a headlamp or a spoon,
Mhm.
one piece of advice from your journey thus far that you
Mm,
would give to anybody listening as they are traversing their own?
Something that helped me a lot is learning that there is no such thing as a unique human experience, and that the hardest and most shameful things are actually what are most shared among us. And so when you feel most alone and most crazy, you're actually like so fucking human and you are not alone.
Mm, that's a good one.
Yeah. Took a
That's a
long
good
time to
one.
figure out, but I think it's true.
Yeah. I think it's one of the most important parts and pieces of turning towards, whether it is a life coach or a healer or some kind of group space. Like that's where I've been reflected that the most. The reality of like witnessing other people in their pain is actually so fucking healing that you're like, oh my God, I'm not
Yeah.
absolutely out of my fucking mind. Like other
Yes.
people, and like
Yep.
having that mirror and uh, creating the space to be vulnerable enough, whether it be with a coach or a healer or in a group setting like that, or with a friend that
Yep.
maybe is also on the path, and allowing yourself to open up to exchange those realities versus continuously trying to paint this picture of perfection that everybody's like desperately trying so hard to hold on to, that's creating the most suffering.
Yeah. I think like 85% of the work is the validation. And once you
Mm-hmm.
realize you're not fucking crazy, it's not that hard anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. This was such a joy. We really will have to do a part two talking all about the spiritual initiation of entrepreneurship because I feel like we could
yeah,
really go off.
I'm thrilled for that. Whenever. Thank you so
All
much
right,
for
guys.
having me. This was a treat.
Of course. And thank you guys, as always, for listening. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.